Alright guys, as you can see, I went ahead and cut the quarters off. I mean, no one wants to watch somebody cutting quarters off. There's all kinds of videos where people's just zipping the quarters off. It don't take long to do that. You just simply come in here all the way down and around, just take your quarter off at the factory location. I cut with the sawzall straight across right here because I leave this part in here and I just put a slit in it right here and then move this section over to meet up with the fastback quarter. You can buy these pieces. I don't see the point in it, but go around and clean all your edges. And right here, it's very, very important that you push this quarter all the way as far as it'll go to that doorpost, that B-pillar. From the factory, that's what they done from the factory. They pushed that quarter all the way in as far as it will go, all the way to the bottom, and fastened it. If it's out at all, you will not have a nice door gap. And before I put these quarters on, I actually lined the doors up, the doors that was on it, and made sure that the gaps look good. I always like to leave a little bit wider gap at the top, because when the car is hanging in the air, the weight of the car on the back, it makes the gap wider. So when you let the car down, it'll actually close that gap up just a little bit. So you want to think ahead. On this right here, to line these drip rails up, what I always do from the factory, right in here, there was always about a 1/4 inch gap between this. There's a line right here. From here to here, there's always about a 1/4 inch. So that's something that I've built a lot of these cars, and they always come out the same. If you don't get that on right, whenever you go to line your roof and your quarter up, none of this will line up right. And also, this will be either touching the quarter here, or you'll have it too long here. When you close the door, this will be all over the door. So rule of thumb, if you've got about a 1/4 inch right in here distance, it should be right here and here. So another thing on these roofs, when you put your roof skin on, make sure that you shove this thing back as far as you can shove it until it bottoms out against the windshield frame. A lot of people let this thing come forward just a little bit. Well, when they do that, windshield don't fit right, the stainless don't fit right, and also, if it's shoved too far forward and you don't realize, and you go ahead and weld in your rear roof brace, your window opening is too wide, and then your back glass is loose in the hole. And I've run into that a few times. Not myself, but a guy that I worked with done that, and we had a hell of a time getting it to fit. But yeah, just fit everything up. On this right here, see this little narrow gap? In order to get this gap nice and pretty like this right here and flush, shove it down as far as you can before you put any screws in it. Come in here, there's enough gap right in underneath the bottom here, in under here, that you can get needle nose vice grips. Put it under there, pull it as tight as you can, and put a couple screws in it. It'll be bottomed out, but when you let the vice grips off, it'll spring back out and you'll have that gap, that nice factory looking gap. Do that on both sides. And you don't weld nothing until you get your trunk hinges on and your trunk lid on, and make sure that you got a nice gap all the way around. Another thing, you don't weld nothing until you get your rear valance put back on. When you put that rear valance on, it'll tell you whether or not you've got this gap right here right. If this gap right here is not right, chances are when you put this end cap on, the quarter can either be cocked this way or this way, and then you've got to do a bunch of filler work on your end cap right here just to make it line up with your deck lid, and that's no fun. So leave everything kind of loose until you fit everything. Another thing, before you wet everything up, hang your new doors back on the car and make sure you still got a nice gap. A lot of times, the driver's side door will fit nice. You get over here to the passenger side door, excuse me, and the passenger side door and all the aftermarket doors, I don't care how expensive they are. The Dynacorn doors, they're the same way. They'll always be hanging out just a tad bit at the bottom. They never fit flush with the rocker, don't seem like. I've always had to kind of massage this corner of the door and do just a little bit of filler work. I don't know if it's something in the die or whatever. It's just they don't fit. But that's where I'm at. I kind of jumped ahead, went ahead and cut the quarters off. But I just want to show you guys kind of where I hang everything. I put a couple screws in it, vice grips. Make sure when you put the drip rail moldings on that you push this drip rail molding in as far as you can to this edge right here. Oh, this inside edge. A lot of times, if you look right here, you got a gap right here, and it's touching here, and then you've got a gap right here. A lot of times you'll have to come in here and massage this and grind this out just a little bit so that you can bring the strip rail in just a little bit farther, because a lot of the times this will be too wide. But this one turned out to be pretty good. It's factory. I mean, you can just stick your index finger in there, and that's factory. That's the way it's supposed to be. And by the time you spread your seam sealer in there, that'll look factory. But that's where I'm at right now. I've got the rear upper panel in, this support. The next thing to do will be, after everything's fitted and I know everything's right and the gaps are right, I'll come in here and weld me some inner structure in here. Dynacorn sells all the inner structure. It's kind of expensive, but this is a budget build. We're going to try to save as much money as we can on this, and it'll be just as good. This ain't no factory fastback. Ain't no sense of putting all the factory fastback stuff in it. But we did want to run all the fastback interior, so that's why I went ahead and put this in here and cut the original package tray out. If you want to leave your coupe interior in it, you just leave that coupe package tray in there. You can put this in here, leave your coupe package tray in there, tie the two together, and then weld you some inner structure in right here. No big deal. But that's where I'm at, guys. Oh, I wanted to show you where I made those cuts too. Fastback's got a gradual, it kind of bends down, so you have to make two relief cuts. One there and one right there. It's about 2.5 inches from that headliner, the headliner bow hole, and 2.5, 3 inches, and then it'll be that's the first, second headliner bow, about 3 inches behind that hole, make you another relief cut. And then you just gradually, and make sure you cut on both sides of this, and then leave the bottom alone. And just gradually bend it down so that it fits your drip rails. Perfect. Your drip rails are pretty much the shape it needs to be. So, got to give you an idea of how far you got to bend it down. But that's where I'm at, guys. I guess this can be like episode 3. I'm pretty sure I've hit all the necessary bases that you really need to know. The biggest thing is, don't weld none of this back here until you fit everything, because this quarter it can lean in or out, and it can really cause you a lot of problems. But that's where I'm at. Like and subscribe, guys. I know my shop's a mess. I'm trying. It's nasty weather outside. I've got a lot going on. I'm working on a 67 Impala also. I don't really want to show it right now. It's kind of it's a major ordeal. These Mustangs, I can knock them out pretty quick. This Impala, it's in pretty bad shape. A lot worse shape than what I thought it was. But I'm going to make it really nice for this fella. But I'll get some videos of it out later. But this is the video, guys. Please like and subscribe. Thank you.